Have you tried hundreds of sit-ups and ab exercises to get a smaller waist? How's that working for you? I've tried absolutely everything over the years to try and get a smaller waist, and most of the time it's had very little effect or it hasn't worked at all, and I've had this mummy tummy. I expect you know what I'm talking about. Well, now I think I've cracked the code. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how you can get a smaller waist using a waist trainer and exercise in 6 to 12 weeks. Welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal and I'm 52 and I'm a fitness expert for women over the age of 40. And in this video, we're going to cover how to get a smaller waist in 6 to 12 weeks using a waist trainer and exercise. You would think, wouldn't you, that sit-ups are the way forward to help you get a smaller waist. But that's actually not the case. It's part of the story. And what you should be doing is exercising lots of other parts of your body and using a waist trainer. Before we get into the protocol, I just wanted to say that diet is a really important part of getting a smaller waist. So the information I'm going to give you won't really work unless you have the right diet in place. And I'm not going to talk about this in this video because I'm going to make a separate video on diet and that'll be dropping really shortly. But it's just really a side note to say that you need to be taking care of that by eating a whole food diet, and also cutting out sugar and alcohol will really help. So before we get to the exercise part, I'm going to talk about the waist trainer. I've been using a waist trainer for about 12 weeks and I can tell you I have lost 2.5 inches off my waist. So they definitely do work. I know you'll see a lot of information on the internet about it, and some people say that it sort of damages your organ, but you're only using them for a short amount of time and they really are effective, and they're not very expensive to buy. So this is the waist trainer I use. It's just a black one and you kind of wrap it around yourself. I'm going to put a picture up of what I look like in it. So it's got a sort of bottom part that you wrap around yourself, an underneath part, and then a top layer where you sort of tighten it so it's really tight while you're wearing it. I'll put a link below of the one I bought. You can just buy them on Amazon, and this particular one was $11.99, so they're not very expensive at all, so it's just worth the purchase in terms of really the cost. It isn't going to sort of break the bank. You need to use the waist trainer for when you're doing your weight training sessions and also your cardio sessions. But if you're doing sort of intense cardio, which I highly recommend you do, so for example, you might be doing sprint training, you might find it really restrictive. I know I do, so I don't wear it for that, but I wear it all the time for my weight training sessions. So that would be an hour to an hour and a half of your weight training sessions. And actually one of the benefits is it does support your back. So when you're doing sort of compound bigger movements in the gym, you will find that actually it's really good. I mean, some people wear those belts, don't they, the weight training belts, but the waist trainer sort of does a similar job to that, so it's really good. So yeah, wear them for sort of gentler cardio sessions and then your weight training sessions, and you will find them to be really effective. So now I'm going to go into the exercise. So the exercises that you need to do, you might be surprised, but quite a lot of it is actually about working other parts of your body to give the illusion of a smaller waist. So the first thing that you need to be doing is back development in the weights area of the gym. So I would recommend that you do something called lateral pull downs, and I'm going to show them here. They're really, really effective for tapering out your back and growing your lats, which is going to make your waist come in and actually give the illusion of being smaller. So that's lateral pull downs. The other one is seated rows, and these are also very, very good compound movements for actually working, a lot of other parts of your body, not just the main back that you're working on, but other associated muscle groups. So they're actually really, really good for you, those two movements, the lateral pull down and the seated row. And then the other movement that I would recommend you do is a pull-up. Now, you can actually do chin-ups as well, or pull-ups. So pull-ups are with your hands facing forward and pulling yourself up on a bar, and chin-ups are when your hands are facing towards you. And some people find chin-ups easier. Some people call it the girls' way, which is slightly derogatory, I think. But they are absolutely excellent, again, for working a lot of muscle groups, but sort of building your back and giving you, I guess, confidence. It's really made me confidence now that I can do a pull-up. And what I would suggest you do is either if you can't do a pull-up unassisted or a chin-up unassisted, use a machine in the gym, or I'm going to show that I use bands. I prefer bands, actually. Because I think they're closer to actually doing it without bands. So if you want to progress to doing pull-ups without bands, then that's a really good way of doing it, is actually starting on bands. But I think if you use a machine, I've never progressed to unassisted pull-ups. So yes, that's your back. The other body part, and I will get to waist, don't worry, I will get to your core and abs eventually, but I want to talk about your shoulders. Shoulders are going to give you the illusion of having a smaller waist again. So it's the same as your back. You're going to have that kind of tapering look where it goes in from the waist and then it goes out, which is really, really effective in making your waist look smaller. And the exercises I would recommend for your shoulders are overhead dumbbell presses, and I'm going to show this now, or you can use a machine in the gym that actually works by doing this movement. So usually most gyms have got them. I prefer to use dumbbells, but it's your personal choice. And then the other thing is lateral raises. They're really, really good for developing your shoulders. So that's really good in terms of actually giving you that smaller waist as well, are lateral raises. So that's your shoulders. The next area that I would highly recommend you address, as well as your waist, and we're getting to the waist, is your glutes, or your bottom, or your bum, whatever you want to call it. So the exercises, there are various exercises that I'm going to give for this, but they're not exhaustive, and there are lots of other glute exercises around. Now, the barbell squat is great, but I realise a lot of women, a lot of people can't do barbell squats. So if you can't do those, don't worry about it, but I am going to show it. I'm going to show it now what that is, but you can use a Smith machine, or you can use a squat machine in the gym if you can't manage that, and that's great. The leg press machine, you can use the leg press machine, which is really, really good for working your glutes. So those are some of the alternatives. And then a key exercise for your glutes, and I think this has really helped me, and it's going to develop your glute shape, so when you're sort of side on, it's going to make your waist look smaller, and this is the barbell hip thrust. And I'm going to show this now. The barbell hip thrust is great. I've been doing that now 3 times a week. I'd recommend with all exercises you start off by doing 3 sets of 10 and maybe progress to 4 sets of 10. Just work on getting the technique right initially before you go too heavy. You know, you can see me with the weights, they're sort of intermediate, they're not particularly heavy, I'm not particularly big, but that might be too much for somebody sort of starting off. So you can use something like an empty bar, which is 20 kilos, or even drop a bit less than that to start off with, and make sure you're getting the technique right. That's really, really much more important than trying to go too heavy too early until you've got the technique right. So the next thing would be glute kickbacks, and I'm just showing the video on this, and then abductor raises with your leg, and they're absolutely brilliant. Again, I'm using a cable machine here, but you can use a machine in the gym if you can find an abductor machine in the gym. They're really, really good. You usually find lots of women are using those as well because they want to work on their glutes. The other thing to add, going back to the hip thrusters, is there are some gyms that now have machines for hip thrusters, and they're great because they're really going to manage your balance and posture and everything else, so you can really focus on the movement. I don't have one in my gym, but I know that a lot of gyms are getting them. So now I'm going to go into the ab exercises. The ab exercises are good old-fashioned sit-ups. So I would do those between 10 and 20, 3 sets. And what you can do is then progress to something like 20 and do 5 sets when you get proficient at it. I'm going to just show a video now of this so you get the idea of the technique. And the other thing you need to do is knee raises, or if you're really, really good, leg raises. However, I can't, because I'm trying to do 20 of those at each session. I can't do leg raises. I can probably only do about 5. So it's quite important that you get the 20 of those in. So do the knee raises if you can't do the complete leg raise like me. And then the other thing to do is 1-minute planks. Now, if you can't, and I'm going to show a video of a plank now. If you can't do a plank for a minute, build up to a minute, and then build up to sort of 1 minute 30 seconds, which is what I do. They're really fantastic at training your waist and learning your body, learning to hold everything in and hold it tight, which is what the waist trainer does. But the planks do a similar thing as well. So all of those exercises, I would say start off 3 times a week if you've never done it before, and then sort of build up to 4 or 5 times a week, and just add it into when you go to the gym, or when you wake up in the morning, you might want to do some planks. You can do those ones at home and just progress from there. So that's the end of my video on how to get a smaller waist using a waist trainer and exercise. If you like the video, give it the thumbs up and please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to hear your comments on whether you think the waist trainer has worked and whether you've tried the protocol and how you've got on with it. It's always really, really good to hear feedback from people who are watching the video.